Hey everyone, and welcome to chapter 12 of our textbook, the last chapter in the course. I apologize if I sound a little drab. I am under the weather, but I wanted to make sure I got this recorded and sent out to you. So it's not that the material's drab, it's just that I feel horrible. So chapter 12 is about performance and recovery. So let's go ahead and dig into the chapter here. Here we go. Slide one. So what we're going to talk about today is the objectives. And first, we're going to learn how to use the right tools to collect network data because guessing whenever you're dealing with networks is not good. um, Second, we'll figure out how to optimize network performance, making your network run faster than a cheetah that's been having some Starbucks. And third, we'll cover incident response and disaster recovery. And that's basically what happens when what hits the fan. So let's go ahead and dive in. First, we're going to look at how to collect network data and what's involved with that. Network management is really kind of like being a helicopter parent, for your network. You're constantly monitoring everything. You're controlling who gets access. You're checking performance baselines, kind of like a fitness tracker does. If you wear one on your wrist, you're looking for hardware faults before they become hardware disasters, and you're making sure critical applications get the VIP treatment. Plus, you're keeping records of everything because if it's not documented, did it really happen? And yes, you even need to figure out the best time to upgrade systems. Spoiler alert, it's never when you're about to leave for vacation. So let's talk about environmental monitoring. And no, we're not talking about saving the rainforest here. We need to monitor temperature, humidity, and dew point in your server room because servers are like Goldilocks, not too hot, not too cold, just right. We're watching for flooding with liquid detectors. Yes, water and electronics don't play nice together. We're checking for smoke and fire. We're monitoring airflow. We're watching for vibrations and motion with security cameras. We're making sure lights are on or off as they should be. And we're checking if doors are open or closed and monitoring power, voltage, battery levels, outages, and consumption. It's basically like running a high tech daycare for very, very expensive equipment. So here's a diagram of how it all works together. You've got sensors everywhere. Think of them as kind of the brain or the nervous system of your network. They're feeding data to your network monitor, which is like the brain of the operation. The monitor constantly watches everything and sends information to dashboards where you can see it all at a glance. Plus, it sends alerts and it sends notifications when something's wrong, kind of like your phone telling you to check your email, except these alerts actually matter. Email notifications, text messages, even audible alarms, because sometimes you need your equipment to literally scream at you to get your attention. So here's a dashboard. Here's an example of a dashboard. It's like the instrument panel of a spaceship, but for your server room. You can see temperature readings in real time. In this example, you've got sensors showing 72, 75, and 76 degrees. There's humidity levels, dew point measurements, and airflow readings. Everything's color coded and easy to read. It's beautiful, right? Well, it is until something starts flashing red. Then it's panic time. So, traffic logs are your network's diary. They tell you everything that's been happening when you weren't looking. A network monitor continuously watches network traffic like a security guard who never blinks. A protocol analyzer is more specialized. It's like a detective that examines traffic at specific interfaces. Think of it this way: a network monitor watches what one device is doing, but a protocol analyzer can see the whole picture across your network. It's the difference between watching one car on the highway versus having a helicopter view of the entire traffic situation. You've got several ways to monitor traffic. You've got inline monitoring, which means you install a device called a network tap, and that's test access point, um, or a packet sniffer right in the middle of the network traffic. Port mirroring is like setting up a spy mirror. All traffic sent to any port on a switch gets copied to a mirrored port where you can watch it. Wireless monitoring means running software on a computer connected wirelessly. You're basically eavesdropping on a Wi Fi conversation, but legally doing so. And reporting means devices can be configured to tattle on themselves by sending their statistics to a network monitor, like having your equipment send you a daily report. Here's a visual of all of these monitoring methods working together. See how the wireless laptop in promiscuous mode, and yes, that's the actual technical term, it can detect all traffic on the access point. The inline monitoring shows a network tap sitting between devices. Port mirroring shows how traffic gets copied to a monitoring computer, and reporting shows devices sending information directly to the network monitor. It's like having security cameras, undercover agents, and informants all working together to keep tabs on everything. All network monitoring tools have some common superpowers. They can set your NIC to promiscuous mode to pass all traffic to monitoring software. They capture network data. They can focus on specific nodes and continuously monitor segments, reproduce network conditions to test things, and generate statistics. It's like having a combination of a microscope, a telescope, and a crystal ball for your network. Next slide. Network monitors and protocol analyzers can identify all sorts of problems. Runts are packets that are too small, kind of like the runt of the litter, but for data. And giants are packets that are too big. Think of them as, if you're a wrestling fan, remember Andre the Giant? Um, they're the Andre the Giants of packets. They're the big guys. Jabbers when a device won't shut up and keeps transmitting. Ghosts are phantom signals. Packet loss is when data goes missing in action. Discarded packets are the ones that get thrown out. And interface resets are when things need to be turned off and on again. And, that's basically technology 101. Okay, let's talk about logging. Event Viewer in Windows is where all the drama gets recorded. Every error, warning, and information event. It's like your computer's autobiography. Then there's syslog, which is the standard for generating, storing, and processing messages about events on many networked systems. It covers three main things: message format, which is how events are written down; message transmission, which is how those messages get sent around; and message handling, which is what happens to them once they arrive. So you can kind of think of syslog as like the postal service of network events. Syslog has two main roles. The generator is the device being monitored. It's the one doing things worth reporting, like, hey, something happened. The collector is the server that gathers all of these event messages from generators across your network. It's like having reporters, which are the generators, sending stories to a newspaper office, which is the collector. Then there's SNMP communications, which is enterprise wide network management systems that monitor everything in real-time access across your entire network. It's the difference between watching one security camera versus having a whole control room full of monitors. Now, SNMP, which stands for Simple Network Management Protocol, relies on several key players working together. The NMS, which is the Network Management System, that's the boss. It collects data from multiple managed devices by polling them at regular intervals. Managed devices are any network node that's being monitored, which includes servers, switches, routers, printers, basically anything with an IP address. The network management agent is software on each device that collects information and reports it to the NMS. And the MIB, which is Management Information Base, is the list of objects being managed with their descriptions. The MIB is organized in a top down hierarchical tree structure, kind of like a family tree, but for network information. Here's a diagram of how the network management architecture looks in action. You've got your NMS server at the top with its application and MIB database, which is the headquarters. Down below, you've got all your managed devices. There's a laptop, network printer, a switch, a voice IP phone, and router, each with its own agent. They're all connected through the network using SNMP. It's like a spider web of communications with the NMS at the center pulling strings and gathering information from everything. SNMP comes in 3 flavors, kind of like ice cream, but not as tasty. We've got SNMP version 1. V1 is the original. It's not really used today because it's about as secure as leaving your front door wide open. Next, you've got SNMP V2, which does have improved performance and it added slightly better security, kind of like upgrading from no lock to a cheap padlock. SNMP V3 is the modern version with actual security. It's got authentication, validation, and encryption for messages between devices and the management console. It's like finally getting a proper deadbolt. Always use version 3 if you can. Most SNMP conversations are started by the NMS server. It's usually doing the asking. The managed devices respond with information, but there is an exception. When something urgent happens, a managed device can send an SNMP trap message. It's basically the device yelling fire without being asked first. Think of it like this. Normally, the teacher, which is the NMS, asks the students, which are the devices, questions. But with SNMP traps, a student can raise their hand and interrupt when something important happens. Lastly, let's talk about network flow data. This is information collected from network devices about traffic crossing their interfaces, kind of like a traffic report for your network. NetFlow is Cisco's proprietary version that tracks all IP traffic crossing any interface where it's enabled. A NetFlow analyzer or collector gathers these flow records from throughout the network to give you insights into traffic patterns. It's like having GPS data from every car on the highway. You can see where congestion is, identify trends, and spot unusual patterns. Some NetFlow analyzers are hardware appliances, others are software. Either way, they're just your network traffic meteorologists of sorts. Okay, now we're in the cloud. Observability is your ability to capture what's happening inside systems so you can analyze and respond. Logs capture activities like sign in attempts, configuration changes, or traffic flows. They're helpful for troubleshooting what already happened. It's like reviewing security footage after a break in. You've got real time monitoring, on the other hand, is about what's happening right now. And that's the difference between reading yesterday's newspaper and watching the live news. Both are important. Logs tell you the story of what went wrong, while real time monitoring helps you catch problems before they become disasters. Managing network traffic involves 2 main areas. You've got performance management, which is all about monitoring how well your links and devices are keeping up with demands, kind of like tracking whether your highway can handle rush hour traffic. And fault management is about detecting and signaling when devices, links, or components fail. Think of it as like having smoke detectors and fire and alarm systems. You do need both. Performance management keeps things running smoothly, and fault management tells you when something breaks. A baseline is your network's normal state, like knowing what your body temperature should be when you're healthy. Network performance baselines includes things like backbone utilization rate, number of users logged on per day, per hour, or per day or hour, how many protocols are running, error statistics, bandwidth usage. These measurements become your basis for comparison. When something changes, you can tell if it's good, bad, or ugly by comparing it to what your baseline is. It's like having before and after photos, but for your network. Baseline measurements are pretty useful. They let you compare future performance to past performance, kind of like tracking your uh, progress working out. You can detect changes in usage patterns or performance issues before they become catastrophic. Several software applications can perform baselining, ranging from free tools to expensive, customizable hardware and software solutions. It's like having to choose between a basic fitness tracker and a full medical monitoring system. The right choice really depends on your needs and your budget. Some common performance KPIs, which are key performance indicators, include device availability and performance, interface counters and statistics, utilization levels, error rates, packet drops, and jitter. These are the vital signs of your network. Think of them as like checking your car's dashboard. You've got the oil pressure, the engine temp, the fuel level, the speed. Each one of those metrics tells you something important about how your network is doing. If error rates spike or packets drop, packet drops increase, it's time to investigate. Now, bandwidth management is about optimizing how much traffic your network can handle. It includes three main techniques. Flow control is configuring interfaces and protocols to balance traffic volume with device capability, which is like adjusting how fast you pour water so the cup doesn't overflow. Congestion control adjusts how devices respond when traffic gets heavy, like switching to side streets when the highway is jammed. And QoS, which is quality of service, prioritizes some traffic over others, ensuring important stuff gets through even during congestion, kind of like giving ambulance priority on the road when there's an emergency. These techniques work together to keep your network flowing smoothly. Flow control is bandwidth management between two devices on a local connection. Its purpose is ensuring the receiver doesn't get overwhelmed, kind of like making sure you don't talk so fast to a friend, and so fast that your friend really can't understand you. So you're like gibberish. Common approaches include the stop and wait method: send one thing, wait for acknowledgement, send the next thing. The go back and sliding window method: send multiple things, but if one fails, go back and resend it from that point. And the selective repeat sliding window method, which is send multiple things, but only resend the ones that failed. It's like the difference between sending letters one at a time or sending a bunch, but being willing to resend the whole group if something goes wrong, or just resending the missing ones. Congestion control has two strategies: prevent congestion before it happens, which is open loop, and fix it after it starts, which is closed loop. Open loop techniques include retransmission policy, which is using smart timers to avoid making congestion worse by retransmitting too quickly. Window policy is requiring senders to use methods that reduce how many frames must be present on the network at once. Think of this like being proactive, kind of like taking vitamin C during the cold and flu season so you don't get sick, rather than having to take medicine after you get sick. More open loop techniques are on this slide. We've got acknowledgement policy. Receivers send one ACK message for multiple received frames instead of acknowledging every single one. It's like saying, yep, got all those, instead of got it, got it, got it for each one. Discarding policy is less sensitive. The less sensitive frames get dropped, so important traffic survives, which is kind of like throwing cargo overboard to save the ship that's going down. And then admission policy is routers and switches temporarily reject new traffic that would create or worsen congestion. It's like a bouncer at a club saying we're at capacity. You guys need to wait outside. Closed loop techniques fix congestion after it starts. Implicit signaling, the sender detects congestion after missing several acknowledgments. It's like realizing someone's not responding to your texts. Explicit signaling is a congested device alters existing packets to say, hey, I'm congested. Choke packet is a router. When a router creates a special message telling the sender to slow down, it's literally sending a stop sending so much message. And you've got back pressure, which is a device downstream stopping network. It stops accepting network traffic and it transfers congestion pressure back upstream. It's like a traffic jam backing up for miles. Voice and video transmission are delay sensitive and loss tolerant. That means they hate delays but can handle losing a bit of data here and there. It's kind of like watching a live sports broadcast. You want it in real time, even if it may buffer a little bit. Preventing delays, disorder, and distortion requires dedicated bandwidth. QoS is a group of techniques for adjusting priority, making sure important traffic gets through. Optimized QoS means uninterrupted, accurate, faithful reproduction of audio and visual input. Traffic shaping, also called packet shaping, involves manipulating packets, data streams, or connections to manage traffic type and amount. The goals are ensuring timely delivery of important traffic and optimizing performance for all users. It's like a traffic cop directing cars, making sure emergency vehicles get through while keeping everything moving. You don't want the CEO's video conferences buffering while someone else is streaming goofy stuff in the office next door. Traffic shaping can involve several techniques, delaying less important traffic through buffering, kind of like making regular cars wait for emergency vehicles, increasing priority of more important traffic, which is the VIP treatment, limiting traffic volume during specific time periods, and limiting momentary throughput rate for interfaces. These last two were called traffic policing, which is basically enforcing speed limits and traffic laws on your network. It's all about making sure critical stuff gets priority without completely starving other traffic. We've got DiffServe, which stands for differentiated services. It's a simple technique for QoS through traffic prioritization at layer 3. It considers all network traffic, not just time sensitive stuff, and it can assign different priorities to different streams. To prioritize traffic, DiffServe uses the DiffServe field in IPv4 packets. The first 6 bits of this 8-bit field are called DSCP, which stands for Differentiated Services Code Point. Think of this like writing priority levels on mail, like urgent, important, whenever you get it. The network reads those markings and it handles the traffic accordingly. Next, we have COS, which is class of service. That works at layer 2 on Ethernet frames. It's most often used to route traffic between VLANs. We've got PCP, which is priority code point. That's a 3-bit field in tagged framed headers, and it offers an 8 priority levels from 0 to 7. That's like having economy, business, and first class seating, but with more options. An important note, though, is that all of your network devices and clients must support the same QoS protocols to work. It's like everyone needing to speak the same language, and you can combine multiple QoS techniques because sometimes you need all the tools in the toolbox. So, here's the truth. Disasters and security breaches happen. It's not if, it's when. But training and prep makes all the difference in how your company responds and adapts. An incident is any event that negatively affects network availability or resources. Could be a breach, infection, or environmental issue. A disaster is an extreme incident involving network outages affecting more than one system. Think of it like the difference between a fender bender and a multi car pileup. Either way, you need a plan. Incident response plans define what qualifies as a formal incident and what steps to follow. There are 6 stops, We've got preparation, which is getting ready before things go wrong, detection and identification, which is figuring out what's happening, containment, which is stopping it from spreading, remediation, which is fixing the problem, recovery, which is getting back to normal operations, and review, which is learning from what happened so it doesn't happen again. It's like having a fire drill when you went to school, except for your network. Practice makes perfect, and you don't want the first time to actually be the real thing. Now, when an incident happens, you need to preserve evidence. Here's what to do. You need to secure the area, no unauthorized device access. You need to document the scene, take photos, take notes, everything. Monitor evidence and data collection. Watch what's being gathered. Protect the chain of custody. Track who handles evidence and when. Monitor transport of data and equipment. Know where everything goes. Create a report. Document everything. It's really like being a detective at a crime scene in the digital realm. The evidence you preserve might be crucial for understanding what happened, or you may even need it for legal proceedings. Business continuity is continuing to do business with minimal interruption during a disaster. A BCP, a business continuity plan, defines resources and protocols for continuing service to customers with little or no disruption. A DR, a disaster recovery plan, details how to restore critical functionality and data after an outage. Think of the BCP as the how do we keep operating and the DR plan as how do we get back to normal. You need both. One keeps you alive during the disaster, the other one brings you back to health afterwards. A disaster recovery plan should include contact information for emergency coordinators, who to call when things go wrong, details on backup procedures, what's backed up, how often, where the backups are stored, and how to recover them. Network topology, redundancy, and carrier agreements, which is how your network is designed and who can help. Regular testing practices, practice, and a plan for managing the crisis, which is who does what during your disaster. It's your playbook for when everything goes wrong, and trust me, you don't want to be figuring this out in the middle of an actual disaster. Disaster recovery contingencies come in three flavors. We have the cold site, which is components exist but aren't configured, updated, or connected. It's like having all the ingredients but no cooked meal. A warm site is when components exist with some configured, updated, and connected. And that's kind of like having a partially cooked meal in the fridge. And then you have the hot site, which is everything exists and matches your current network state. That's like having a fully prepared meal ready to serve. You've got DRAS, which is the disaster recovery as a service. That uses cloud configurations to take over business processes during disasters. It's scalable, inexpensive, and increasingly popular. It's like having a backup restaurant ready to open if your main one burns down. Managing a network includes managing power sources for outages and fluctuations. Power surges can seriously damage sensitive equipment, and by damage, I mean turn expensive servers into expensive paperweights. You need to understand the nature of electric circuits and electrical components that manage electricity. Think of it like understanding how your car's electrical system works. You might not need to be a mechanic, but knowing the basics helps if and when something goes wrong. Power flaws come in several varieties. A surge is a momentary voltage increase from lightning, solar flares, or electrical problems. It's kind of like a power punch to your equipment. Noise is voltage fluctuation from other devices, or an EMI, which is the electrical equivalent of a static on a radio. A brownout, also called a sag, is a momentary voltage decrease. Your lights dim briefly, and a blackout is a complete power loss. Everything goes dark. Each one of those can damage equipment in different ways. It's really the difference between getting splashed, hearing loud music, feeling dizzy, and then passing out entirely. A PDU, a power distribution unit, acts as a fancy power strip, bringing power close to rack devices. A UPS is an uninterruptible power supply, is a battery operated power source directly attached to these devices. UPSs come in two types. You've got standby UPS switches to battery. When it detects power loss, there's a tiny gap during the switch. Online UPS uses AC power to continuously charge its battery while providing power through that battery, which provides no gap. And that's like the difference between having a backup generator that kicks in when power fails versus having power always running through a battery backup. Online is better, but it's more expensive. When choosing a UPS, consider how much power do you need. Don't undersize. How long devices need to run. Do they need to run just enough to shut down safely, or do they need to run through longer outages? What's the line conditioning? Does it clean up power quality and cost? Because budget matters. It's like buying insurance. You want enough coverage without breaking the bank. A good UPS is cheaper than replacing fried equipment, but you don't need to protect a $50 switch like it's Fort Knox. A backup is a copy of data or files for archiving or safekeeping, which is basically your safety net. When creating a backup system, decide what to back up, everything or just critical data. Select backup methods, consider cloud backups, decide which types of backups you'll do regularly, full, incremental, or differential. Decide how often, daily, weekly, monthly. Develop a backup schedule that makes sense and regularly verify that the backups are actually working. Because discovering backups failed when you need to restore is like finding out that you don't have a parachute after you've jumped out of a plane. So this is the 3-2-1-1 rule for backups. We got 3 backup copies, or the original plus 2 backups, 2 different media types because you don't want to put all eggs in one basket. Might do a hard drive and the cloud, or drives, or tape. 1 copy offsite, fire, flood, or theft shouldn't destroy everything, and 1 offline copy disconnected from the network so ransomware can't encrypt it. It's like having multiple insurance policies. It may be overkill, but when disaster strikes, you'll be glad that you were paranoid about this backupping. 2 critical factors affect your backup decisions. RTO, which is recovery time objective, is how long your network can reasonably tolerate being down. Can you afford hours, days, minutes? This determines how quickly you need to restore. RPO, which is the recovery point objective, is how much historical data you need to restore. Can you lose a day's worth of work, an hour? This determines how frequently you need to back up. Different systems have different needs. Your email server probably needs more frequent backups than your server hosting something less important. 33 minutes, 19 seconds. That's a wrap, chapter 12. So let's quickly recap what we covered. First, we learned to use appropriate tools to collect network data, monitoring, logging, SNMP, and flow analysis. Second, we explored methods to optimize network performance, which was baselines, bandwidth management, flow control, congestion control, and QoS. Third, we covered incident response and disaster recovery best practices, which was planning, prep, backups, and power management. Remember, a well monitored and well optimized, well prepared network is a happy network. And a happy network means fewer 3 a.m. emergency calls. So that concludes all 12 chapters in this course. I hope you enjoyed our journey together.